Attention seniors, I want you to think about something that happened last month in Atlanta, Georgia. A woman named Patricia, 71 years old, opened her mailbox on a Wednesday morning. She pulled out her Social Security statement, showing her new benefit amount for 2026. Patricia smiled because the number had gone up. Then she looked closer and her smile disappeared. After Medicare took its share, she was getting barely enough to cover her rising electric bill. Let me be honest with you. Subscribers to this channel save an average of thousands per year just by staying informed. Non-subscribers find out too late. Which group do you want to be in? Subscribe right now. Here's what's happening and why you need to understand this immediately. Your Social Security is going up by a certain percentage this year. Sounds good, right? But your Medicare premium is climbing at nearly triple that rate. I'm going to show you the real math, the actual dollar amounts, and what's left in your pocket after everything gets deducted. This isn't complicated, but most people don't realize what's happening until they see their first check of the year and wonder where all the money went. Let me tell you about Thomas. He's 73 and lives in Denver, Colorado. Thomas worked in construction for 38 years before retiring. He gets about $2,300 in Social Security every month. When he heard about the cost of living increase for this year, he calculated that he'd be getting around $60 more each month. Thomas was planning to use that extra money for his medication copays, which had been eating into his grocery budget. What Thomas didn't realize was how much his Medicare premium was about to jump. He knew it would go up a little. Every year it goes up a little. But this year was different. When Thomas got his benefit statement in late December, he sat at his kitchen table with a calculator. His Social Security was going up $63 per month, just like he'd figured, but Medicare Part B was going up by almost $18 per month. Thomas stared at those numbers for a long time. After Medicare took its cut, he was only netting about $45 extra per month. That's 30% less than he'd been counting on. His prescription costs were going up by $15 a month starting in January. His homeowner's insurance had increased by $35 monthly. The $45 he thought would help with groceries, it didn't even cover his insurance increases. Thomas called me frustrated and angry, asking how this was legal. Now let me tell you about Barbara. She's 69 years old and lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. Barbara worked as a school secretary for 30 years. Her Social Security benefit is $1,150 per month, which is below the national average. Barbara lives carefully. She tracks every expense in a notebook. She shops sales. She uses coupons. She turns off lights when she leaves rooms. Barbara was excited when she heard Social Security was getting a cost of living adjustment. She calculated she'd get about $52 more per month. Barbara had plans for that money. Her rent was going up $30 in January. Her car insurance had increased $25. The extra $52 would cover those increases and leave her a little breathing room. Then Barbara found out about the Medicare premium increase. The $18 monthly jump would eat up more than a third of her Social Security increase. Instead of $52 extra, she'd only see about $34. Her rent and insurance increases totaled $55 monthly. Barbara was going backward. She came to my office with tears in her eyes, asking how she was supposed to make this work. She'd done everything right. She'd saved, she'd budgeted, she'd planned, and still, every year, she felt like she was losing ground. Here's what makes me angry about this situation. The way these numbers get presented to the public is misleading. You hear about a percentage increase in Social Security benefits. The news reports it. Politicians talk about it. Everyone acts like seniors are getting this raise. But nobody talks about how Medicare premiums are rising at triple that rate. Nobody explains that your actual increase, the money you can actually spend, is far less than the headline number suggests. Quick pause. What state are you watching from? Drop your state name in the comments right now. Laws differ by state, and I need to know where my viewers are. Your comment also helps this video reach more people. Comment your state below. Let me break down the actual numbers for you in plain terms. Social Security benefits are going up by about 2.8% this year. For someone getting the average retirement benefit of roughly $2,100 monthly, that means an increase of around $58. That's an extra $58 every month, or about $700 for the year. Now, Medicare Part B currently costs about $185 monthly for most people. That premium is automatically taken out of your Social Security check before you ever see the money. This year, Medicare Part B is jumping to approximately $203 per month. That's an increase of about $18 monthly, or around $216 for the entire year. So let's do the math together. You're getting $58 more from Social Security. Medicare is taking $18 more. Your net increase is $40 per month. That's not a 2.8% raise. That's closer to a 1.9% increase in what you actually receive. Here's what that means in the real world. Your groceries aren't going up 1.9% this year. Your utilities aren't going up 1.9%. Your insurance isn't going up 1.9%. Most of your actual costs are increasing much faster than that. The gap between what you're getting and what you're paying is getting wider. Every single year, that gap grows. Let me tell you about William. He's 74 and lives in Portland, Oregon. William is a veteran who worked for the Postal Service for 35 years. He gets about $2,600 in Social Security every month. That's more than many retirees because he worked his entire adult life and earned good wages. William thought he'd be comfortable in retirement. He'd save some money. He had his Social Security. He had Medicare. What could go wrong? 3 years ago, William started noticing something strange. Every year, he'd get a cost of living increase from Social Security. Every year, the amount in his bank account after all the deductions seemed to buy less than the year before. At first, William thought maybe he was just spending more. Maybe he was being careless with money, so he started tracking every purchase. What William discovered shocked him. His actual expenses were going up much faster than his income. His Medicare premium had increased significantly 3 years in a row. His supplemental insurance was costing more. His prescription copays had doubled. His property taxes went up 6% annually. His electric bill was 40% higher than 3 years ago. His car insurance had jumped 30% when he renewed this year. William added up all those increases and compared them to his net Social Security growth after Medicare deductions. He was losing purchasing power every single year. Not a little, a lot. William is now 74, and he's seriously considering going back to work part-time because his retirement income isn't keeping pace with his expenses. He never thought he'd be in this position. Real quick, if you're getting value from this, hit the like button. The algorithm pushes videos with high like ratios to more people. That means more seniors see this information. Takes 2 seconds. Like the video right now. Now I need to explain something important about who pays what for Medicare. The standard premium I've been talking about, that $203 monthly figure, only applies if your income is below certain thresholds. For individuals, that threshold is about $106,000 in modified adjusted gross income. For married couples filing jointly, it's roughly $212,000. If you earn more than those amounts, you pay extra on top of the standard premium. This extra charge is called an income-related monthly adjustment amount. About 8% of Medicare beneficiaries pay this surcharge. The amount you pay depends on your income bracket and can range from an additional $70 per month to over $400 per month. These figures are based on your tax return from 2 years earlier, so your 2026 premium is determined by your 2024 income. If you're subject to this surcharge, the interaction between your Social Security increase and your Medicare costs gets even more painful. Let me tell you about Nancy. She's 70 years old and lives in Seattle, Washington. Nancy and her late husband ran a successful small business for many years. They saved well. Nancy has retirement accounts that generate investment income. Her modified adjusted gross income puts her just over the threshold for Medicare surcharges. Nancy gets about $2,400 in Social Security monthly. Her cost of living increase this year was around $65. But Nancy doesn't pay the standard Medicare premium. Because of her income, she pays an additional $69 monthly on top of the base premium. When the base premium went up $18, her income-related surcharge also increased. Nancy's total Medicare Part B cost jumped by about $24 per month. After that deduction, her net Social Security increase was only $41. Nancy did everything right. She and her husband worked hard, saved money, invested wisely. Now she's being penalized with higher Medicare costs because she was financially responsible. Here's something many seniors don't know about. There's a rule called the hold harmless provision. This rule says that Medicare premium increases can't reduce your Social Security benefit below what you got the previous year. It sounds like good protection, right? The problem is that this rule only helps people in very specific situations. If your Social Security check is large enough that the Medicare increase doesn't wipe out your entire cost of living adjustment, the hold harmless provision doesn't apply to you. This year, that rule will only protect about 4 million beneficiaries. That's people whose Social Security checks are so small that an $8 monthly Medicare increase would completely eliminate their raise or push them below last year's amount. For everyone else, and that's the vast majority of seniors, you're paying the full Medicare increase. The hold harmless rule sounds good, but it doesn't help most people. Think of someone who needs this information: your parent, sibling, friend, neighbor, someone who could lose money without this knowledge. Share this video with them immediately. Text the link right now. Don't wait until after the video. Do it now. Now let me explain what's actually driving these Medicare cost increases, because understanding the problem helps you prepare for what's coming. First, there are more seniors in the system than ever before. About 10,000 people turn 65 every single day in this country. More people on Medicare means more healthcare usage and higher total costs for the program. Second, people are living longer, which is wonderful. But longer life also means more years managing chronic health conditions: diabetes, heart disease, arthritis, high blood pressure. These conditions require ongoing doctor visits, medications, tests, and treatments. All of that costs money. Medicare pays for most of it, but beneficiaries share the cost through premiums, deductibles, and copays. Third, medical technology keeps advancing, and new treatments cost more than old ones. New drugs, new surgical techniques, new medical devices. Medicare covers these innovations, but they're expensive. Every new treatment the program adds increases the overall cost that has to be paid through premiums and taxes. Fourth, and this one really gets me angry, fraud and abuse in the Medicare system cost billions every year. There are scams involving unnecessary treatments, fraudulent billing, kickback schemes, and outright theft. The government has tried to crack down, but criminals keep finding new ways to steal from the system. Every dollar lost to fraud is a dollar that honest beneficiaries have to make up through higher premiums. Let me tell you about Richard. He's 72 and lives in Jacksonville, Florida. Richard was a high school teacher for 35 years. He gets $2,150 in Social Security monthly. Richard is generally healthy for his age. He goes to his annual checkup, takes one blood pressure medication, and that's about it. He doesn't use a lot of medical services. Richard called me confused about why his Medicare premium keeps going up so much when he barely uses the system. Here's what I explained to him. Medicare is insurance. You're paying into a pool that covers everyone in the program. Some people need expensive treatments. Some people have serious illnesses requiring costly care. The premiums everyone pays support the entire system. Richard understood that concept. What frustrated him was learning how much of the cost increase was being driven by fraud and unnecessary treatments. Richard had read about schemes where medical supply companies were billing Medicare for equipment people never ordered. He'd heard about doctors performing unnecessary procedures just to collect fees. He'd seen news reports about prescription drug scams. Richard felt like he was paying more every year, not because of legitimate medical advances, but because criminals were stealing from the system and driving up costs for everyone. He's right to be frustrated. We all should be. When fraud costs the Medicare program billions annually, that money comes from somewhere. It comes from higher premiums, higher deductibles, and reduced benefits for honest people like Richard, who followed the rules their entire lives. Let me tell you about Karen. She's 68 years old and lives in Austin, Texas. Karen worked as a nurse for 40 years. She understands the healthcare system better than most people. Karen gets $2,850 in Social Security monthly. Her cost of living increase this year was about $61. After Medicare took its $18 increase, she netted $43 more per month. Karen started doing research into her Medicare coverage options. She learned something important. You're not stuck with traditional Medicare Part B. There are alternatives called Medicare Advantage plans. These are offered by private insurance companies. Some have lower premiums than traditional Medicare. Some even have zero premiums. Karen spent time during the annual enrollment period comparing plans. She looked at premiums, deductibles, copays, covered doctors, and prescription drug costs. Karen found a Medicare Advantage plan with a $12 monthly premium instead of the $203 Part B premium. By switching plans, Karen saved over $2,200 per year. That's real money she could use for other expenses. Now Medicare Advantage isn't right for everyone. These plans often have networks of doctors you must use. They may have higher copays for certain services. You need to carefully compare what you'll actually pay based on your specific health needs and the doctors you see. But it's absolutely worth reviewing your options every year during open enrollment. Many seniors don't realize they can switch plans. They think once they choose traditional Medicare, they're locked in. You're not. Here's something else many people don't know about. There are programs that help pay Medicare costs for people with limited income and resources. These are called Medicare savings programs. Each state runs these programs differently, but they can pay some or all of your Medicare Part B premium if you qualify. The income limits vary by state and by which specific program you're applying for. Some programs cover just your Medicare premium, others also cover deductibles and copays. Many seniors who could benefit from these programs don't even know they exist. Others assume they won't qualify and never apply. Let me tell you about David. He's 75 years old and lives in Indianapolis, Indiana. David gets $1,150 in Social Security monthly. He lives in a small apartment. His expenses are tight but manageable. David heard about Medicare savings programs from a friend at his senior center. He assumed he wouldn't qualify because he owns a car and has a small savings account. David decided to apply anyway, figuring the worst they could say was no. He filled out the application with help from a benefits counselor at the senior center. 6 weeks later, David got a letter saying he'd been approved. The state would pay his entire Medicare Part B premium. David couldn't believe it. That saved him over $2,400 per year. That's $200 per month he could use for food, utilities, and his other bills. David told me the application process wasn't even that complicated. He needed proof of income, bank statements, and information about his assets. The benefits counselor helped him gather everything. The whole process took about 2 hours of his time. For saving $2,400 per year, David said it was the best 2 hours he'd ever spent. If you're struggling to afford Medicare premiums, I strongly encourage you to look into these programs. Contact your local area agency on aging or your state's health insurance assistance program. These organizations can tell you if you might qualify and help you apply. Don't assume you won't qualify. Apply and let them make that determination. Now let me talk about something that affects higher income seniors. If you're subject to income-related Medicare surcharges, there are situations where you can request a reduction. Remember, these surcharges are based on your tax return from 2 years earlier. But what if your income has dropped since then? What if you retired? What if you lost a spouse? What if you experienced some other major life change that reduced your income? You can file a form asking Social Security to reconsider your surcharge based on more recent income information. The form is called SSA 44. It asks about specific life-changing events. These include marriage, divorce, death of a spouse, work stoppage, work reduction, loss of income from property, or loss of pension income. If any of these situations apply to you, you can request that your Medicare surcharge be recalculated. Let me tell you about Betty. She's 71 and lives in Columbus, Ohio. Betty and her husband George were both retired. Their combined income from pensions, Social Security, and investment accounts put them over the threshold for Medicare surcharges. They were each paying an extra $69 monthly on top of the standard premium. Then George passed away suddenly from a heart attack. Betty was devastated. In the midst of her grief, she also had to deal with major financial changes. She lost George's Social Security income. She lost his pension. Her household income dropped by more than half overnight. But 6 months after George died, Betty was still being charged the higher Medicare premium based on their joint income from 2 years earlier. A friend told Betty about the SSA 44 form. Betty filed it, explaining that her spouse had died and her income had decreased significantly. She provided George's death certificate and documentation of her current income. Within 8 weeks, Social Security approved her request. Betty's Medicare surcharge was eliminated. She went back to paying just the standard premium. That saved her over $800 per year. If you've experienced a major life change that reduced your income, don't just accept the higher Medicare surcharge. File that form, provide the documentation, request a recalculation. You might save yourself hundreds or even thousands of dollars per year. Here's something else you need to think about if you're still working or if you have retirement accounts. The way you manage your income can affect whether you're subject to Medicare surcharges. Decisions about when to take retirement account withdrawals, whether to do Roth conversions, when to sell investments that would create capital gains. All of these decisions affect your modified adjusted gross income, and that affects your Medicare premiums. This requires careful planning, preferably with help from a financial advisor or tax professional who understands Medicare rules. But being strategic about the timing of your income can save you significant money. For example, if you're planning to do a Roth conversion, doing it before you turn 65 means it won't affect your Medicare premiums. Waiting until after 65 means that conversion income could push you into higher Medicare surcharge brackets. Let me talk about what you need to do going forward. First, calculate your actual financial picture. Don't just look at your Social Security cost of living percentage. Figure out the dollar amount you're actually getting after Medicare premiums come out. Then list all your expense increases: housing, food, utilities, insurance, healthcare, transportation. Add up those increases. Compare that total to your net Social Security increase. This will show you clearly whether you're keeping pace with inflation or falling behind. Second, review your Medicare coverage every single year. The annual enrollment period runs from October 15th through December 7th. During that time, you can switch from traditional Medicare to Medicare Advantage, or from one Medicare Advantage plan to another. Don't just assume your current plan is still the best option. Insurance companies change their plans, premiums, networks, and coverage every year. What was the best deal last year might not be this year. Spend time comparing your options. Third, look into Medicare savings programs if you have limited income. Contact your local area agency on aging. Ask about programs that help pay Medicare premiums and other costs. Don't assume you won't qualify. Apply and let them tell you whether you're eligible. The worst they can say is no. The best they can say is yes, and that could save you thousands. Step 1. Get your current Social Security benefit statement. You can access this online at the Social Security Administration website, or you can request a paper statement. Look at your current monthly benefit amount, then calculate what your increase will be based on the percentage announced for this year. Write down that dollar amount. This is how much extra you'll be getting before any deductions. Step 2. Find out your Medicare Part B premium for this year. If you're paying the standard rate, you can find the current year's premium on the Medicare website. If you're subject to income-related surcharges, your premium amount should be listed in a letter you received from Social Security. Write down your current monthly premium. Then find out what the new premium will be. Calculate the difference. This is how much more Medicare will be taking from your check. Step 3. Subtract your Medicare premium increase from your Social Security benefit increase. The result is your net increase. This is the actual additional money you'll see in your bank account each month. It's probably a lot less than you thought it would be. This is the real number you need to work with when planning your budget. Step 4. Make a list of all your regular monthly expenses. Include housing, utilities, food, insurance, healthcare costs, transportation, and anything else you pay regularly. Now go through that list and note which expenses have increased in the past year. Write down the dollar amount of each increase. Add them all up. This total shows you how much more you're paying compared to last year. Step 5. Compare your net Social Security increase to your total expense increases. Are you ahead? Breaking even? Falling behind? Most seniors find they're falling behind. If that's your situation, you need to make some changes. You can try to reduce expenses in areas where you have control. You can look for ways to increase income, or you can review your Medicare options to see if you can reduce your premium costs. Step 6. During the next open enrollment period, compare Medicare plans. Go to Medicare.gov and use their plan comparison tool. Enter your prescriptions, your doctors, and your expected medical needs. The tool will show you different plan options with estimated costs. Look at premiums, deductibles, co-pays, and out-of-pocket maximums. See if switching to a different plan could save you money. Step 7. Contact your local area agency on aging and ask about Medicare savings programs and other benefits you might qualify for. These agencies exist to help seniors navigate available programs. They can screen you for multiple programs at once. They can help you fill out applications. They can tell you about state or local programs you might not know about. This costs you nothing and could save you significant money. Let me wrap this up by being completely honest with you about what's coming. Medicare premiums are going to keep rising faster than Social Security cost of living adjustments. This has been happening for 3 years now, and there's no reason to think it will stop. The financial challenges facing Medicare are real and growing. The senior population is increasing. Healthcare costs keep rising. The trust fund that pays for part of Medicare is projected to run short of money within the next decade. Various solutions have been proposed by lawmakers. Some want to raise the Medicare eligibility age from 65 to 67 or even 70. Others want to increase income-based premium surcharges so higher earners pay even more. Some propose allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices more aggressively. Others suggest raising the payroll tax that funds the program. None of these solutions are easy. None will be implemented quickly. All of them would affect beneficiaries in different ways. What does this mean for you? It means you can't count on your Social Security increases to keep pace with your rising costs. It means you need to be proactive about managing your expenses and reviewing your coverage options. It means you need to stay informed about changes to these programs so you're not caught off guard. Here's what you need to remember from this video. Your Social Security is going up by about 2.8% this year for most people. Your Medicare Part B premium is going up by roughly 9.7%. After Medicare takes its share, your net increase is much smaller than the headline number suggests. This pattern of Medicare rising faster than Social Security has been happening for 3 consecutive years now. The hold harmless rule that's supposed to protect beneficiaries only helps about 4 million people with very small Social Security checks. Most seniors will pay the full Medicare premium increase. You have options. You can review Medicare Advantage plans during open enrollment. You can apply for Medicare savings programs if your income is limited. You can request reconsideration of income-related surcharges if you've had major life changes. You can be strategic about retirement account withdrawals and other income decisions. Most importantly, you need to calculate your real financial picture. Look at your net increase after Medicare deductions. Compare that to your actual expense increases. Don't rely on the percentage figures you hear in the news. Those don't tell the whole story. The dollar amounts in your bank account tell the real story. If this helped, here's what to do. Subscribe so you catch the next update. Share with someone who needs this. Comment your situation or state below. I read comments and respond when I can. Your engagement helps others find this. The more people who understand what's happening with their benefits, the better prepared we all are. Important disclaimer. This video is educational only, not legal, financial, tax, or medical advice. Every situation differs, and laws vary by state. Consult licensed professionals, attorneys, CPAs, financial advisors, or doctors before making decisions based on this content. What works for one person may not work for another.